Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Tell a friend about the free show. Obviously, we'd like you to go over to FantasyGuru.com and click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. But whether you subscribe with us or not, hopefully you join us here every day, Monday through Friday, for Fantasy Sports Daily. I'm Ray Flowers. I host the show on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. On Wednesdays, Justin Fensterman steps in and hosts the show. Why am I not here 5 days a week? Because I'm lazy. Not accurate whatsoever. I'm not here 5 days a week because on Wednesdays I'm with Jeff Mans on the Elite Sports Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. That show is 2 to 5, Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. So I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On Wednesdays, I'm over there on SiriusXM with Jeff Mans. I'm also in Discord all the time answering questions daily about fantasy baseball and fantasy football, which is what we're going to talk about on the show today. I'm followable. That's a word, right? At the Ray Flowers. So check me out in the various social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places. I'm actually there at the Ray Horse. Even have a TikTok account. I don't ever use it. I think I've got a TikTok account. Pretty sure I do. Over at FantasyGuru.com, running a series of articles this week for those of you that are looking to continue your second half run to a title in fantasy baseball. We've got 3 articles, one talking about the infield, one talking about the outfield, one talking about pitching players to target. Today, we'll have the players to trade, the players to sell, the players to potentially move on from article as we get ready for the second half of the season. And remember, if you go to FantasyGuru.com and you click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page, sign up for the baseball product. You get everything we do for baseball, and it's one price, one package, one cost, boom, done, taken care of. All the seasonal, all the DFS, all the wagering, all 3 of those packages, usually 3 separate packages, are now one package. So head over there, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner and get signed up. Whether you need seasonal help down the stretch, whether you want to get involved with DFS or wagering, whether you need help in DFS or wagering, get all of it. We can just throw it all in one basket, have fun, get after it with us over at FantasyGuru.com. Here's what we're talking about on the show today. I got it up here, and I think I'm going to leave it up today and tomorrow again. Drafters.com, not sure if it still works. You can try the promo code if you've already signed up there, Elite Reload. That can get you a 20% deposit match if the bonus is still active. You got to get in now. It was only supposed to be for 10 days. It might be out by now. Give it a shot. Elite Reload for those people that have already signed up with Drafters.com. If you've never signed up at Drafters.com, Drafters.com/refer/elite. Drafters.com/refer/elite. That'll get you a 100% bonus match up to $500. So get involved with us over at FantasyGuru.com, clicking that subscribe tab, signing up for the football product. You sign up for the football product, you get access to our best ball guide inside the draft guide. The best ball guide written by Tyler Beaker, who will join us here in about a half an hour. Talk specifically about that Drafters best ball contest to give you advice, to give you rankings on how to have success and win part of the money. And, Jeff Mans, Ted Schuster, we've been talking about this. We're going to get a lot of overlay on this Drafters contest. It does not seem like they're going to sell out. So if you're looking to join a best ball contest for fantasy football and you want to have your best odds to win, there's a lot of best ball sites out there, right? But Drafters.com doesn't look like it's going to fill up. So you might have the best. I don't have the numbers. I don't know this officially, but it sure seems like you sign up at Drafters.com, you're going to have some overlay and have a very good chance of having some success. Remember, if you've already signed up there, the promo code is Elite Reload. If you've never signed up with Drafters.com, you go to Drafters.com/refer/elite. and go to FantasyGuru.com and find the best ball section of the draft guide to help you have success doing that tournament. As I noted here, in about 25 minutes, we'll visit with Tyler Beaker of FantasyGuru.com. Lots to talk about, as always, with Tyler. We'll talk about C.J. Stroud and getting stronger this offseason. We'll look at the Lions offense. Things are changing, good or bad. The Browns running back situation, the Chargers running back situation. We'll look at some wide receivers. Garrett Wilson getting paid. Terry McLaurin wanting to get paid. Are we getting concerned about him? Odunze. People starting to get hot on Odunze. Xavier, Legette, and Jourdan Rodrigue at the tight end position. Some news there about him. Before we get to any of that, we will talk some baseball. You see there on the screen, got some news and notes largely around the pitching side of things. We did have a trade yesterday. Woo, big trade. This guy's been traded multiple times. We'll talk about that, and that guy being Adam Frazier. And then we'll do some MLB surprising performers. We'll talk about some of the players that have had massive first half, guys like Byron Buxton, Cal Raleigh, and Pete Crow Armstrong. Remember, go to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner for the baseball package. Click there for the football package. For the football package, it's all season long. You get signed up now. A lot of people, we're hearing from people, oh yeah, I'm going to sign up. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next month. As Jeff Mans is pointed out many times, the season is actually starting a week earlier than last year. There is a lot of information that you will have access to at fantasyguru.com. And if you wait until 2 days before your draft, you'll get the rankings and you'll get access. You can ask questions in Discord, all that kind of stuff. But you also won't have the ability to really assume the knowledge that is available there right now. So if you're going to sign up, just do it now. The price could go up too. There have been discussions. I'm just saying it. I don't know if it's official or not. There have been discussions about the price going up before the season begins too. So it's not likely to be any cheaper than it is right now. So head over to fantasyguru.com, get signed up, get access to the dynasty rankings, the best ball rankings, the rookie rankings, the IDP rankings, the PPR rankings, the non-PPR rankings, get the rookie reports, get the player breakdowns, get access to my articles that are dropping next week on auctions. I think it's Friday next week. You'll see those come out. I've also written the PPR running back myth article, which is a decade-long study that you can check out. Depending on PPR running backs every year, there's also my By the Numbers piece, which is like 9,000 words breaking down what happened last season at all the 4 major positions. And of course, the entire stats work. So head over to fantasyguru.com, get signed up now. Do it now. Have success and fun with us in 2025. All right, let's talk some news and notes here before we talk about those breakout performers in baseball in the first half. The Rangers, and we discussed this last week, a lot of the teams haven't officially said what their rotation is going to look like coming out of the break starting tomorrow. We'll probably get a lot more information on that today. May not get it until tomorrow in some cases. But we did get a note from the Rangers, and I saw a lot of angry Rangers fans after they sing the note. Jacob deGrom is going to start tomorrow against the Tigers. Then it's going to be Kumar Rocker on Saturday and Nathan Eovaldi on Sunday. So that means, obviously, Jacob deGrom is likely to start on Monday. Now, that hasn't been officially announced yet, but that seems like the case. Now, again, if you've got one of these leagues where your next week is just the 3 days starting tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, don't start deGrom. If you've got the week that's 3 days this week and then the full next week, all right, at this point in time, we can pretty safely assume deGrom is going to make a start. They're just going to give him a little bit extra time to make sure he stays healthy. And while that's frustrating for a Rangers fan or for a deGrom owner, I mean, they got to do what they got to do. deGrom already is a win in fantasy. He can pitch 0 innings the rest of the way. He's already a win, right? He's been fantastic. And the Rangers are going to do what they can to keep him healthy and make sure he's pitching late in the year. So just an FYI there, kind of situational stuff. The decision again on deGrom comes down to how your league is set up. Kyle says, by the way, spent the morning renewing my fantasy football leagues. Hey, there you go. Way to go, Kyle. Yeah. Kyle, you also said that this is the single worst night for TV sports of the year. It's why we titled this show today, episode 445, Fantasy Sports Limbo, because it's one of the few days on the calendar where no one is playing. You're right about that, Kyle. You can always watch the show live, and you're wondering, Ray, how are you talking to the people? You can watch the show live and ask questions and leave comments at youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and on Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. So in those 3 places, you can watch live. You can also obviously watch on demand. You can ask questions or leave comments throughout the show that we address. So that's a nice little perk here for the free show. You can always go to fantasyguru.com and click the Elite Plus tab at the top. It's right at the top of the page there. Elite Plus, that'll take you to the podcast on the website. And you can also type in Fantasy Sports Daily wherever you listen to the podcasts. Fantasy Sports Daily, you should be able to find us there. Angelo says, I haven't drafted any NFL teams yet. A lot of people in that boat. But like I said, even if you're in that boat, Angelo, and everyone else, not a bad idea to get involved with us. Get signed up now if you're going to do it anyway. Get a chance to really take in the information, track the information, the coaching changes, the offensive line changes, the player personnel changes, the reports on the players. It's a lot more fun and you're a lot more informed to make better decisions versus just signing up and getting the rankings. We're here for that too, if that's what you want to do. Hopefully everyone wants to do a little bit more than that, learn a little bit about what's going on in football as well. All right, next up on the news list is Chris Sale. Chris Sale's got the rib injury that he suffered. He played some catch on Tuesday, which is good news. He has been moved to the 60-day injured list. I think the actual first day that Chris Sale can return is August 19th, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, August 19th. I had a question about him in Discord this morning. Would you make a trade right now for Chris Sale? I mean, the best he can do is August 19th for the return. It is July 17th. So you make a trade for Chris Sale today, you don't have him for at least a month. Okay. Now that's if he does indeed return first day eligible. I think there's a chance for that, of course, but maybe not. Then you're looking at him making 7-8 starts the rest of the season, maybe. He's a really tough guy to be trading for right now. Really difficult, unless you can get a hell of a deal. I'd be reluctant, as you can tell from my tone here. Matthew Boyd has been great. Matthew Boyd might be in the article sell today. Oh, I'm teasing. He might be in the article today. He's been fantastic. His ERA is 2.4. His WHIP is 1. He's just been utterly fantastic, much like Jacob deGrom. Whatever you paid for Boyd-wise, if you drafted him in your reserve round, if you picked him up off the waiver wire in April, you've gotten a massive win. He's had about 111 innings the last 2 years. He's at about 111 innings right now. He's 34. They say he's fine. They say he's feeling good. He said he's feeling fine and feeling good. Everyone's positive about this kind of thing. Problem is, he's 34 years old, and he's thrown as many innings this year as he's did the last 2 years. And I think if you add in 2022, it's like 170 innings. Like, he could match the last 3 years this season. There's also the fact that if you look at things like his xFIP and his Sierra, that 2.4 ERA, 2.34, whatever it is, that 2.3 ERA becomes 3.7. The strikeout numbers aren't big. The walk rate is better than it's ever been. Is he going to sustain that as the innings pile up? Caution is my expectation, or caution is the word I would use for Matthew Boyd. Do with that what you think is best. I'd be very cautious. Taijuan Walker is going to make a start on Saturday against the Angels. He's basically, it seems like, holding down the roster spot right now in the rotation of Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola hopefully will be back about that same time as Chris Sale, mid-August, that third week of August, something like that. That's the target date for him to return from the 60-day injured list, dealing with that rib issue and the ankle issue. They also have Andrew Painter, the phenomenal young right-handed prospect who's struggled a little bit performance-wise, but who they like to see, I would assume, at some point here in the second half in the rotation. So Walker right now, starting against the Angels, if you want to go for it, I mean, fine, whatever. I'm not going for it. I'm not a streaming guy with Taijuan Walker. I think he's just holding the spot. I wouldn't be swayed by that. But just an FYI, kind of what the Phillies are doing right now. Angela says, Boyd versus Boston, Giolito versus Cubs. Not sure I'll start either unless I'm behind and desperate. Head-to-head leagues, again, in a roto league, I'm starting Giolito and Boyd. In a head-to-head, it's different. Totally get that. League size, opponent, all that kind of stuff. I totally get that, Angelo. Speaking of some of the hitters here, Sal Frelick, who has long been one of the guys I've had hope for. Been a disappointment. This year he hasn't been. This year he's been really good, hitting almost 300, stealing bases. And then as we head into the All-Star break, he hurts his hamstring. And it's a grade 1 strain of his hamstring. And they haven't said yet, the Brewers, how much time Frelick is going to miss. We don't know the answer to that. They haven't put him on the injury list, so I guess they're still hopeful. But I'm not expecting him to be in the lineup tomorrow. I would not be shocked if they ended up putting him on the injured list here. He's the kind of player, obviously, that needs his wheels to be effective. He's not anywhere near the type of offensive player that can just stop running and still be effective. His bat isn't good enough for that. So we'll continue to watch that. Isaac Collins would probably be the guy that we'd be a little bit excited about or interested in if Frelick was indeed placed upon that injured list. Jake Berger has been placed on the injured list by the Rangers. He's got a left quad strain. This guy's season, it's going down as one of those years. It happens from time to time with players, and it's seemingly going that way for Berger. Started slowly, gets demoted, finds a stroke, comes back and hits, struggles a little bit more. Now he's hurt. Josh Smith, Ezekiel Duran will probably play a lot of third base here the next couple of weeks. There's always the chance that we could see Mr. Young again, Josh Young. Let's look at his numbers real quick. I didn't look at them before the show. Let's see how he's done since he's been demoted. Obviously, he's supposed to be their third baseman right now. hasn't been able to live up to the expectations whatsoever this year. In his 7 games down on the farm, let's see here, 7 games on the farm, 5 strikeouts and 28 at-bats. Didn't do anything. It's only 28 at-bats, but hasn't done anything. So it doesn't look like we're going to see him promoted. Maybe we will, but it seems more likely that Ezekiel Duran and again, as I noted, Josh Smith probably pick up a little bit of the slack there. Adam Frazier is traded. Again. The Royals, again, get Adam Frazier. They traded infielder Cam Devaney. A little strange. I mean, I guess the Royals looking, Adam Frazier is one of those guys that's going to be playing when he's 40 years old, right? It's like he's just a veteran that can play a little bit here, a little bit there, gives you a solid at bat, even though he doesn't really do anything offensively, even though he doesn't really do anything defensively. He's a nice guy to have off the bench, while giving you that depth as a super sub. So no fantasy impact there with him. Devaney, he began his career back in 2019. He's 28 years old. It's like, do the Pirates get something there? Nah. Are they going to play him every day? I mean, he had a 366 on base percentage and almost 570 slugging percentage at AAA this year. So he has been doing some things with the bat. But again, a 28-year-old who we've never really heard of, who's at AAA, like, I'm not excited about him in a redraft scenario whatsoever, and I'm not excited about him in a dynasty league. Let's just say I'm not excited about either one of those players. Looking back at some of the comments here, Kyle says, I found myself more interested in auction drafting than redrafting. Different approach for sure. There will be a series of 4 articles that will drop next Friday, as I said. I think that's the target date for the auction stuff over at fantasyguru.com. I'm actually wrapping up my work on it today. I'll be writing the lay of the land article for NFL auctions, like how do you draft? How do you put a team together? What are the numbers? What are the targets? That kind of stuff. I'll also do an article of players to fade in an auction. So that'll be my contribution. Justin Fensterman will handle how to handle the auction in auction, like how to bid and that kind of stuff. He'll also list a bunch of players to target. So I have a series of 4 articles there to help you out with the auction drafting over at fantasyguru.com. And again, I think next Friday is the day there. You see Jim C. here says, I'm 2 draft guide day podcasts in. Popped in to visit my pal Raymundo before Elite Sports. Thanks for joining, Jim. Appreciate you. Again, the Elite Sports show is 2 to 5 Eastern, Monday through Friday. Jim is listening to those podcasts that are part of the draft guide. Remember, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. We have a series of 20 about hour-long podcasts for the draft guide at fantasyguru.com. Remember, full season product for football. You get access to those 20 draft guides. I've actually already recorded 2 of them. I'm recording a 3rd one today. So I think all in total, I'm doing 4 of the 20 podcasts. I think it's 4. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying those, Jim, and everyone else. It's another thing we offer, right? We've got the live stream every Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. All the articles, all the Discord rooms. We added new Discord rooms. So we have like Keeper Dynasty, seasonal, all kinds of trade rooms, all these kind of different rooms now for Discord. And you also get, in addition to the rankings and the articles, you get these 20 preseason podcasts as well. All right, let's talk about a few surprising MLB performers before we get to Tyler Beaker to talk some football here in about 10 minutes. Pete Crow Armstrong. Now, again, I'm going to write an article today over at fantasyguru.com. I started it this morning, writing an article of players to sell. And as I said in the article that you'll be able to read at the site later today, I'm not saying that any of these guys that are on that list in that article are guys you panic sell. I'm not saying you need to drop them. I'm not saying any of these things. There's a little cobweb right here. Let me get rid of that. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that, some of these guys just might be at the peak of their performance levels. Like if you're going to sell this guy, this is probably the best time to do it. That's not directly what we're talking about here on the show today, but obviously, when you're looking at this list of players, there are pluses to holding on to these guys and minuses that say trade these guys too. So you could factor these guys into that article. They're not necessarily in that article, but you get the point. Pete Crow Armstrong has been phenomenal. I mean, he's almost on pace to go 40-40. He, I think, when the season started, and we've talked about him a lot, if someone had said to me he's going to hit 15 home runs and still 25 bases, I'm like, that's fantastic. Sign me up. Fantastic. I think he can do that. That's great. He's going to hit 230, go 15-25. He's going to be Randy Arozarena, basically. Well, he's hitting 265, and he's getting on pace to almost go 40-40. He's been fantastic. Now, there's always a concern about a player wearing down. There's always a concern about a player, playing 150 games at the big league level for the first time. There's the fact with Pete Crow Armstrong, he has been terrible against left-handed pitching. Not average, not poor, terrible against left-handed pitching. He's got a 51% fly ball rate, which means his batting average is not going up, which is he's not hitting more than where he's at right now. He'll be lucky to hit 260 the rest of the way with all those fly balls. Fantastic, phenomenal. You might consider trading him. It sounds goofy because I know he's been a top 10 player. And he's been terrific. I mean, out of nowhere, like I said, he's basically going to double this home run and stolen base expectations. And there was already almost a 2020 expectation, which is just crazy. Cal Raleigh has had one of the greatest first halves in baseball history for a catcher. And he, continued to do that, obviously, in the All-Star break and the home run derby and everything like that. Already has a career best in home runs. He's gone 38 home runs, 82 RBIs. It is now a third straight season of 30 home runs. Obviously, barring injury, he's going to have a second straight season of 100 RBIs. The big difference this year compared to the previous 4 seasons, the previous 4 years, he hit 218. This year, he's hitting 259. What has changed? Well, his walk rate has gone way up. Way up. It was 11% last year, which is a really good mark. 15% this year. So huge increase there. Strikeout rate has come down. By the way, it's come down 3%, so it's down to 25%. So we have a 0.6 walk to strikeout rate, which is really good for almost any player in baseball, certainly for a guy that came in looking as a league average walk to strikeout guy. Exit velocity is up just a little bit. Barrel rate's up. 20% is a huge number. Hard hit rate's never been better. 25% launch angle. It's kind of, he's pushing it. It's right. Don't go any higher, Cal. Don't go any higher than that. It was 21% the last 2 years. But anyway, adding this all up, it's all impressive. The batting average piece, I mean, the 27% home run to fly ball ratio, especially when you play half your games at Safeco, probably comes down in the second half. It might still end up being, 23%, 25% this year, but it probably comes down a little bit. So a few less of those fly balls end up in the seats. He, as we were talking about PCA with the 51% fly ball rate, Raleigh has got a 58% fly ball rate. He's not beating balls out. He's athletic. He's actually stolen, 9 bases? 10 bases. He's got 10 steals, but he's not a burner. He's not beating out a bunch of ground balls. So his batting average of 259, very likely to go down in the second half. Very likely to go down in the second half. If he hit 230 the rest of the way, that seems about right. That would still give him the opportunity to have the best mark of his career. 232 is his best mark. He's currently at 259. So I would anticipate, as you should, the stolen base rate slowing and the batting average coming down. So that home run to fly ball ratio is going to play a large part in his ability to sustain this excellent first half. I don't think he does it. I think I said with Justin Fensterman on Sirius XM, I think I said my prediction was like 51 home runs. Maybe it was 52, was right there. Certainly got a chance to hit 50 home runs, which is crazy. He's been crazy good this season. Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton's almost 2020 right now. It would be the first time he ever did that. He's got an outside shot at going 30-30. He's played 105 games a single time in his career. This is his 10th season. He's at 78 games played right now. This has been Byron Buxton, who is a phenomenal baseball player. Long been one of my favorites. As I think everyone. But it's always, can he stay healthy? He has played, let me say this again, 105 games once in a decade-long career. 105 games, and he's at 78. You going to bet that he stays healthy? You going to bet this is the year he plays 138 games? Hope he does. Kind of seems unlikely he will. Eugenio Suarez got hit by that pitch on the hand in the All-Star game. Seems like he's okay, but something to keep an eye on. There are rumors everywhere, and when there's rumors everywhere like this, you have to think it's likely to happen. Eugenio Suarez is almost certain to be traded as the time approaches here. 2026 becomes a free agent. There have been reports that maybe the Diamondbacks trade him. Maybe they trade Kelly. Maybe they trade Naylor. Maybe they sign 1, 2, 3 of those guys back next year because they're all going to be free agents. Zach Gallen's another guy. So the Diamondbacks could blow this team up. Suarez obviously would bring a pretty good return because he is powering the baseball. He's basically the National League version right now of Cal Raleigh. He's got 31 home runs, 78 RBIs right now, batting 250. We know who he is, Suarez. You never know when a player gets traded, how that environmental change is going to go for the player. The ballpark is different. The teammates are different. The expectations are different. Like, you never know. It's not that he's unfamiliar with other teams. He played in Detroit one year, and then he played for Cincinnati for years, and Seattle, and then Arizona. So he's been around, and he's obviously a veteran. Operating at the peak of his powers, 889 OPS. The last time he had an 800 mark was 2019. Odds are that Suarez slows in the second half, but that does not negate the fact that he's been phenomenal in the first half. Andy Pages is somebody who no one talks about, and I think we mentioned him on the show here 2 weeks ago, something like that. And it's like, well, with all the Dodgers, why on the earth would you mention? I can't spell. Where's N? Couldn't find Andy's name. With all the Dodgers players, like, why would you be talking about Andy Pages, especially because he's always hitting down in the bottom third of the order? But this dude has been a baller. I mean, in the first half, he's got an 800 OPS, hitting 285. He's got 17 home runs, 59 RBIs, and stolen 8 bases. Great work here by Andy Pages, who was very effective last year as a rookie. So we're basically lining up for a guy in year 2 to hit 280, 25, 85, hitting in the bottom third of the order, or 6th in the best case scenario, maybe 5th. Let's pull this up if they say that. Let me verify that. Yeah, he's hit 5th a couple of times here. He's usually hit 6th. But he's been terrific. He just gets lost with all the greatness of the Dodgers. But a mad shout out to Andy Pages, who looks like yet another winner for the Dodgers. Ceddanne Rafaela, somebody that we've talked about here rather recently in particular because of his extremely successful last month. He is now up to 14 home runs and 13 steals. He's got his batting average up to 271. Rafaela, who, still doesn't walk enough, has done a much better job of late. He's increased his walk rate. He's been more selective. He's not chasing as much, and it's led to an explosion in his production. You look at the last month of action, he's got an 1,100 OPS. So not a Rafaela. He's got 1,100 OPS the last month. That's 8 home runs, 22 RBIs, and 18 runs scored in 24 games. The craziest part about this is he usually hits 8th or 9th. Like, he's on pace to go 2020 with 90 runs scored, basically hitting 8th or 9th. You never know what the batting order might look like. If they do indeed the Red Sox trade Jourdan, I still wouldn't anticipate Rafaela being, promoted up to 1st or 2nd in the order. You never know because of this hot stretch here. Maybe it convinces them otherwise. He has hit 2nd and 6th the last 2 games going into the break. A couple of games in here where he's hitting 6th, so they're kind of mixing and matching here. But he's still going to hit in the bottom third of the order, I would expect. It's been phenomenal this season. The last month, he's been phenomenal the last month, and he's been really good this season, showing signs of growth, which we love to see with young players. Michael Busch, was good last year. He was good. He had a very good rookie season. 250, 21 home runs, 65 RBIs, very good. Didn't expect him to take a real step this season, and the fact is that he has taken a real step this season. A lot of this has been fueled by the drop in the strikeout rate from 29 to 23%, which is a huge positive step. It has allowed his OPS to explode. He's almost at 300, 400, 500. He's got an OPS of over 900 right now. He has been absolutely fantastic. He's 2 home runs away from the number he hit last season, despite having 226 fewer plate appearances. He's got a legit chance to hit 30 home runs this season. I didn't see that coming, but he's been terrific. Props for him. And finally, before we talk some football with Tyler Buecher, Jacob Wilson, who's been injured a little bit, his leg got hit by a pitch. He started to slow down a little bit for the Athletics. Was always going to slow down a little bit. Still hitting 332. Still has an 837 OPS. Still has 9 home runs and 5 steals. He's going to hit 300 this year. He's going to have double-digit home runs and steals potentially. He's going to win Rookie of the Year, barring something crazy here down the stretch. He has been phenomenal. He has been as good as possibly could have expected in the first half. Let's see if he can keep this going in the second half. Still utterly remarkable. He has played 115 games at the big league level, struck out 38 times. His ability to put that bat and the barrel on the ball, is almost unsurpassed at the big league level. He's been absolutely fantastic, has Jacob Wilson. So there's our baseball talk. We'll come back tomorrow here on the show on Friday. We'll talk baseball to lead off the show as we get ready to start the second half of the season. It's now time, though, to talk some football. And every Thursday, we have this gentleman on the show, Tyler Buecher. He joins us at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Tyler and I just recorded one of those 20 podcasts we were just talking about for the draft guide over at fantasyguru.com. Remember, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. We have him on the show here every Thursday to talk what is going on in the world of football. So let's bring him in now. Tyler Beaker of Fantasy. How you doing, Tyler?
Doing great, Ray. There's actually some wild news that just dropped. I don't know if you guys have covered it over on the show yet.
We haven't. Drop it on us. What do we got?
Rashee Rice is under a 5-year probation for his accident of reckless driving and a 30-day jail sentence that he can serve anytime during that 5-year period. That's the legal ramifications. We have yet to hear the NFL's spin on it, though.
Wasn't he supposed to be okay this year? Isn't that what we were led to believe?
That was what
you and I talk about this directly?
Correct. Many sources have said that he was not supposed to be impacted by this in the 2025 season. I was just checking my best ball portfolio, my number one drafted wide receiver. That said, how do we think the NFL handles this? My thought is maybe a 2 to 4 game suspension from Goodell, given nobody was injured. It was really just him a case of reckless driving and him leaving the scene after an accident. I don't know. I'm not going to say that here on the show. What I will say is I think there's a chance we see a minimal suspension where it doesn't torpedo anybody that's drafted Rice to date, where he's probably going to settle. Let's say it is a 2 to 4 game suspension. Let's say maximum 4 games. I would imagine he probably falls into maybe the round 4 range, given that this is still the Chiefs. It's still a pass-heavy offense, and his role in it is still expected to be heavy upon return. It's kind of a wild turn of events. Didn't expect to start my day with that.
Yeah, well, thanks for pointing out. I'm looking at the news. It's like 25 minutes ago or something like that. Yeah, I hadn't seen it. That's one of the negatives about doing a show by yourself. It's hard to take a moment to look
for
at
sure.
the news. Yeah, but thanks for bringing it up. That's wow. To reiterate, as Tyler said, Adam Schefter's reporting 5 years probation, 30 years of jail time that can be served at any point. Okay, so he could do that in the offseason. That's not going to impact that, doesn't it? 5-year probation, that's, I know you said it was just doing this and just doing that, and you're right. No one got hurt that way, but 5 years probation is a long time. Like, you do something wrong at a traffic stop, okay, fine, 6 months. 5 years. That's concerning. We'll see. And this is why it's Tyreek Hill's the guy I always go to because of all the stuff that he's always dealing with off the field. I've done a bunch of drafts too. I haven't taken Rashee Rice once. And, you have to make these decisions on a lot of these guys. Things are going on we don't know about in all sports. In baseball, it's often PED stuff. You gotta make a decision on how you're going to handle these players. And you can just ignore when stuff like this happens. Maybe it's a one-off with Rashee Rice. Maybe everything will be fine. He'll have his 2-game suspension and then play a decade without an issue. Do you have any pause though? Because when I hear 5 years, there has to be something, right? Like there's some concern that the court has. This is not a slap on the wrist kind of thing. 5 years is a long time, meaning that I wonder if there's something else that we just don't know about that's occurred at some point, causing the court to be concerned.
Yeah, I just know he's not a good person. I don't care about that for fantasy, to be honest. Okay. There is a certain line that eventually gets crossed, and I'm floored that it's purely probation and that it wasn't anything more. Maybe it was the way this was done makes me think it was like either they had a great lawyer or the judge is kind of looking the other way, given the little bit of a celebrity treatment here. I'm with you where this feels very, very soft, and I don't like it at all. I feel like it's setting a bad precedent for this type of behavior. And you're right, nobody got injured, but I still think it was a very huge situation where this could have easily been a who's that rated? Henry Ruggs type situation where it could have gone very, very south very quickly. So he got super lucky that nobody got injured, but I still think this was a very, very soft punishment for a guy that I thought should be seeing serious time.
Yeah, and it's we were all dumb at one point when we were young. I was dumb. We all made mistakes when we were young. Okay, and it is different when you're an athlete and you've got millions of dollars and adoring fans. And I don't know what that's like. I mean, because I have a lot of fans, but I don't know what that's like. So I can't really judge these guys, but this happens just too much with these athletes and all the sports. It just happens too much, and just leads me to think, like, what kind of support system do these players not have? Like, friends, family, somebody, agent, somebody that says, man, come on. And I really don't have much patience for athletes in particular when it comes to anything with cars, because it's so dangerous, to what we both said. And you've got the means to have your homie drive you everywhere, to hire somebody, to call somebody, to Uber this. The NFL gives you, a ticket to get cabs. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, again, we've all been dumb. We've all driven 100 miles on the freeway when we shouldn't. Okay. But some of this stuff seems so avoidable. And I wish the sports themselves, and maybe they do and we just don't know about it, would do a better job of coaching these young players up. Because I know they go through training and, here's how to manage your money, but I wish they did a better job and emphasized it more, because a lot of these players just make stupid decisions continually, Tyler.
You're not wrong. Young people make poor mistakes. Wisdom comes with age. I hate to see it. Maybe it's the ability to finally be in a car that can do these types of things and have access to that speedster car that is fun to drive. I can't put myself in those shoes either.
Tyler Beaker of fantasyguru.com. Let's talk some positives here, Tyler. Let's transition this discussion over to, well, I guess it's a positive. He was not good last year. He was disappointing last year. CJ Stroud. And obviously the Texans drafting young wide receivers, and there's a lot of expectation in the fantasy space that he'll be better than last year. Though, if you look at his ADP, he's not a guy, and it's so interesting how 12 months changes things. He was like the 5th or 6th quarterback off the board last year. Now his ADP is like 18. He did work on his speed to help evade defenders. That's the most recent story with CJ Stroud. I think everyone looks at Stroud and thinks this guy gets it, right? He gets it, and it's a matter of how far that will lead in terms of productivity in 2025. Great to see him working on things. Great to see him trying to improve. Not a surprise he's doing it. Give us your thoughts on the overall outlook this year of CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I just read that the other day that he was working on his strength and conditioning. That's notable. I think he's going to need that behind this offensive line that's been rebuilt and retooled. We got a new offensive coordinator here, and Nick Caley, who comes over from the Rams system, the McVay coaching tree. I think we're really going to see Caley give Stroud full autonomy of this offense in terms of checks and calling plays and altering things. I'm expecting a slower paced offense, with this being a much more power run heavy unit. I've talked about that on the show a couple times, where it's really been a huge difference in terms of the blocking scheme of a man gap power scheme versus a outside zone kind of scheme. And we saw that reflected in Joe Mixon's yards per carry. It was almost like 1.5 yards greater when he did these man power runs last year than the outside zone. The outside zone's gone. They invested in some bigger bodied offensive linemen too, to be better for this power blocking scheme. And when you add in the context of this defense, which I really like this defense, like all levels, they look great in terms of the players they've invested in. I think we could see them slow this offense down and just really kind of play conservatively and escape with some kind of like Chiefs style wins from last year. We talked about the ADP drop for Stroud. His passing touchdown rate from this rookie year, 4.6%, dropped to 3.8% in 2024. Perhaps he climbs back more towards that 4.6. That 4.6 is right around league average over these last 5 years. So he was a bit under it. That said, he's in year 2. So we don't know, is 3.8 more indicative of his career path, or is 4.6?
Right.
We'll see how that one goes. Getting some healthy receivers will certainly be a help, I think, in terms of that angle. But I also envision quite a few drives ending in rushing touchdowns, where they've invested in this line, they've invested in some backs. I think he's really just a floor-based fantasy play. Currently, like mid QB2, where he's fine in Superflex. I think he's fine in that format. But if I'm in a start-sit redraft team, 12 league or less, I would not be comfortable with him as my starting quarterback. I think best case scenario, we're getting a top 12 season. More likely QB 16 to 20.
And that's basically where his ADP is at. So I guess the universe might have that one right. Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Let's talk about the Lions. And this has been a storyline that's not new. We've talked a lot about the Lions. And Amon-Ra St. Brown told the Detroit Free Press that, look, we've got new plays, new formations this season. Obviously, they've got a new OC there. We've heard all offseason that Jameson Williams going to have a breakout year, even though he went for 1,000 yards last year. We've heard Jahmyr Gibbs reporting from practice he's being split out wide more to be utilized more as a receiver. So apparently, Jameson Williams is going to go for 1,500 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to have his best season in what has been a Hall of Fame start to his career. And Jahmyr Gibbs is going to catch 90 passes. So that's what the reporting suggests. What say you about this new look, but similar Lions offense?
Right. Everything's rosy right now in July as we've got another few days until training camp begins. Again, this is just trying to fill airwaves in my eyes. But we do get to check the proverbial bingo marker of a running back getting split out wide with more pass catching opportunities with Gibbs here. Something we hear every offseason, never really happens or comes to fruition. Gibbs is already a great pass catching back. I don't really think we're going to see much of a change there. I think.
He's already a top 3 back anyway. So like, even if he catches 10 more passes, it's not going to change his ADP, right? I mean,
correct. Yeah. His ceiling outcome really only comes if a Montgomery injury unfolds, which, I mean, he's coming off injury. He elected not to have surgery too. So that maybe that's possible. I think there's a non-zero chance that Gibbs is the gotta have it round 1 selection this year, where he outscores all the running backs going in round 1 and all running backs, period. But that would be, we would need that Montgomery injury for that to unfold. I just think this is all fluff stuff. I'm not really taking it with much of a grain of salt. That's just not actionable.
Here's another story in the Rashee Rice mold, but actually worse. We don't know what's going on. We didn't really know what was going on with the Browns backfield anyway, right? Ford is probably going to be the starter because he's a veteran, but they redid his contract. They obviously drafted a couple of rookies to, in essence, replace him. You've got Dylan Sampson now, who's starting to rise up draft boards. And then you've got Quinshon Judkins, who's plummeting down boards. Domestic violence accusations, an arrest, this whole thing. And, I hope he's innocent, proven innocent and the whole thing, and we'll move on. For me, because this guy's come up a ton in Discord, you've seen it too, people asking questions, especially in Dynasty and Keeper Leagues, trying to make moves for Judkins, trying to make moves away from. What is your take on this situation? For me, I'm out. I'm just out. If it proves he's fine and everything's okay and this is a misunderstanding, and okay, fine, we'll reassess that. But for me, I'm out. I'm not making trades to add him. I don't know how much sense it would make to do a dump trade to get rid of him in a Keeper League. What are your thoughts on him particularly? And then what do we do here with this backfield with the Browns?
Yeah, Judkins being a young guy, I think just 21 years old, first time we've seen any kind of negative in terms of his record. Recently charged with this domestic violence thing, which was really odd because it was like an event that unfolded. The details of it are very weird, and I don't want to say they're sketchy. They're just, the timing of it is very bizarre. Like, the event unfolded 6 days prior to it being reported. What's going on there? Is this some kind of cash grab? I don't want to dive into that speculation, but it's just a weird situation where I want to see more details and more information come out, which I think is fine in terms of trying to get any kind of changes for a Judkins. For Dynasty lens, we'll split this into Dynasty and redraft. For Dynasty, this is something just to ride out. If you're the owner of Judkins, there's no changes needed to be made. You can try to buy low if the current owner is not interested and wants to rid themselves of it. But that's not really the type. Let me say this. There are times in fantasy football where you're able to make these types of transactions and run away with a player. I did it with Tyreek Hill a couple years back when he was first getting into his shenanigans. He still had multiple 1,000-yard seasons that I got rewarded with that. Where I threw a random 2 at a player that had a lot of question marks at the moment. If you have a panicked owner, I think it's worth nibbling. And if you're that owner, though, I wouldn't be the one panicking and trying to sell low because you just spent probably a top 8 selection in your rookie draft to acquire this guy. As far as Jerome Ford goes, let's stick with redraft. Judkins' ADP has gone from round 7 or so, probably round 9. I could see it ending in round 10 with this slip. But again, we're still going to need more information for that to finally finalize. I'm buying in the slip because I'm now drafting Judkins and playing my round 10 Judkins teams against round 7 Judkins teams in best ball tournaments. So that's a different element to it rather than just a typical redraft starts at league. When we look at Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford, I envision this being Ford's backfield with Sampson being more of the change of pace guy, just because this team's comfortable with Ford. They've had him in the system. They know what to expect from him. Sampson had a really touchdown-rich final year at Tennessee, 22 total scores on the ground, some pass-catching chops, but we also have Pierre Strong, a quality pass-catching and third down option, pass blocker. Like one of Samson's red flags was he wasn't a great pass blocker, so there could be like some sparing utilization of him, where it's really a murky, almost 3-man backfield for redraft. I think it's really best to avoid for start-sit formats, but if you want to take some round 18 to 20 swings in your best ball tournaments, I think Ford and Sampson are the guys to throw a few darts on, but not go overboard.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com, joins us every Thursday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We just got news this morning as well within the last hour that Najee Harris, who has that eye injury that happened during the fireworks, has been placed on the active non-football injury list. He can be activated at any time. This doesn't mean he's going to start the year on the PUP list, miss game action, or anything like that. It is interesting, though, because this is another story that we kind of know what happened. We don't really know what happened. It was supposed to be a minor issue. It is. How do you read this scenario? Because again, this is starting to, if we put the pieces together, this is starting to look like a shoot for Najee Harris. He signs a deal with the team. He's going to be the lead guy. Then the draft happens, and they draft his replacement immediately. Then they're going to split the backfield. Then he hurts his eye. Now, oh my gosh. What are we thinking with this backfield? We don't know for certain that Harris will be ready for week 1. We assume he will be. But is this all leading toward, Amari and Hampton maybe taking over this backfield earlier than we expected?
Yeah, you let off on the right foot talking about Najee's contract, where it's a 1-year, $5 million deal. Very nonchalant for a running back. It's like, this is a flyer deal. Yeah. What the heck? Yeah. Let's see what we got here. I don't think in their wildest imagination that they thought the Chargers could get Hampton at, I think they're picked 22. Yep. Denver was at 20. They were heavily rumored and tied to him, to selecting him at the running back position. So they were left so it's basically Ashton Johnson as like a tier 1 of 1. And then had Johnson not been in that class, it would have been Omer and Hampton as the RB1 in this class with an exclamation point. Like these are the two top guys by far and large. To get Hampton where they got him, I think really just kind of was a surprise for the Chargers coaching staff and front office. They were very ecstatic. But now they've got two guys coming into a brand new offensive scheme this offseason where, unfortunately, we're not going to get Najee into training camp here, which means these are valuable reps that Hampton's going to be getting with the first team offense and being able to get more and more familiar with the offense and the scheme and the play calling and everything, while Harris is on the sideline doing whatever, keeping his eye healthy. I think that's really notable because I think the way to play it had always been Najee being the September guy and then Hampton gradually seeing more work as the season progressed and being that second half hammer that eventually took over just because the cream generally rises to the top. Najee's generally been just a guy in terms of a lot of efficiency marks gotten by through volume. Take away that volume. So I think that's why I've been selecting Hampton quite often, because I think he's the type of guy who can have those elite efficiency marks because he was that, like I said, right behind Genty as like the top running back in this year's class. Very, very talented player, can do it all. This is the start of drum beats for Hampton as we enter training camp and preseason and our September drafts. It's starting to beat well for Hampton, who's already climbing an ADP. I talked about it on one of our shows where you don't often see top 50 players rise by 12 plus spots, but he's almost gone a full round over the last 2 weeks, basically since this injury, into more of a round 4 selection instead of the 4-5 turn. I think that's only going to continue if people are able to see him. Like, think about it. We haven't even gotten to see the viral videos on Twitter yet. Just wait till we see Hampton break one off or do it in the preseason game or something like that. Right. So I think this is a tough spot for Najee, who's dropped quite a bit in ADP. I recently posted an article on Fantasy Guru about ADP risers and droppers, and Najee was the biggest one in terms of dropping an ADP among the running backs. I'd say adjust accordingly. Buy into Hampton.
To get all of Tyler's work, go to FG, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner, get signed up for the football product for 2025. Covers all preseason and all regular season. It's all the way through the year. It's not just a preseason thing, so get signed up there over at FG. You can always send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. If you have any questions about anything, support@fantasyguru.com. One thing we have no question, one thing we have no question about anymore, Tyler, is can Garrett Wilson pay for his next meal? He got $90 million guaranteed, 4 years, $130 million massive contract from the Jets. He's getting to work with his former college teammate Justin Fields now. His ADP places him right at the bottom of wide receiver ones. Are you comfortable with that? And secondarily, with the build that you're often doing in a redraft league, is he going to end up on some of your teams?
It's a fair question. I'll say that he's typically going at that 2-3 turn. So usually if you're drafting there, you have a chance to start your draft with Ja'Marr Chase if you have the 101. If not, you're maybe going Justin Jefferson or your pick of the favorite back for this year.
I went Jefferson and Wilson in the FSGA drafted this week. So
Jefferson and then Wilson round 2?
Wilson round 3, actually. I went Walker because the draft went crazy bananas running backs. I talked about it on the show yesterday. So it went Jefferson, Walker, and then Wilson at the second pick of the 3rd round.
Yeah. I think Garrett Wilson has generally been going around there pretty much all season. He's been kind of stagnant in that ADP. We've seen Justin Fields, I think it was a top 6 per game fantasy campaign we saw from DJ Moore during that 2023 season. Yeah, 2023. So there's the possibility that Garrett Wilson eclipses his ADP. There's also the fact that he has like almost no running mates in terms of competition for targets. Right. His biggest competition may be a rookie tight end, right. Mason Taylor. Nope. It could be Josh Reynolds, who is expected to be a more of a blocking wide receiver. I really think that there's a chance we see another 1,000-yard season for Garrett Wilson, who's done it with so many terrible QBs. Let's add another terrible QB to the list, and Justin Fields, who, listen, I think he's a great fantasy asset, and that has nothing to do with his passing acumen.
Oh, come on, Tyler. He can throw the ball. Maybe not.
Yeah. Can't read a defense.
He can throw it. He can throw it. He does have a good arm, but yeah, maybe reading a defense may not be a thing. But you think that, I mean, there's a chance for 100 catches again. Wilson is in play even with that concern you have with Fields.
So it's interesting. I don't know if 100 catches is the play. I'd rather go the yardage mark because I think there's a chance we see fewer plays. They slow it down, more rushing, win on the defense, just a slower pace of play overall. I'm excited to see what this offensive coordinator does, Tanner Engstrand. He's reportedly some kind of whiz kid that was been waiting in the wings behind Ben Johnson in Detroit. Comes over, first-time play caller. I think it could be fun. I think it could also be disastrous. So I just know Garrett Wilson's probably going to be a 30 to 33% target share guy that just gets peppered with a lot of looks. Right. Let's just hope that he's able to break some for some touchdowns.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. So Garrett Wilson gets paid. Terry McLaurin hasn't gotten paid. I don't know if he's going to get paid. He did a very honest interview this week where he basically said, I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. He pretty much said, I ain't playing until I get paid. We understand that. He's 29 or 30 years old now, right? He understands, where he's at. And the problem is the team understands where he's at. They desperately need him. We all know that. And to this point, I and most people I think have said, just draft him as normal here. Everything's fine. You still there? Are you starting to draft McLaurin down your draft boards after that public display of his frustration?
He's moved down like 1 or 2 slots so far in ADP, which isn't that notable for a guy that's a top 35 selection. Right. He's generally going in like the round 3 range in most fantasy drafts right now. I don't know if it's time to panic yet, but I sense his frustration and I totally get it. He's in the same boat as Garrett Wilson, who's played with terrible quarterbacks to begin his career. We finally saw McLaurin with a quality, competent quarterback here, and Jayden Daniels ends up putting up his best season of his career. But McLaurin's routinely been that 1,900-plus yard guy year after year after year. Finally got the touchdowns to catch up with that in 2024. Biggest regression candidate for touchdowns for sure. Everyone talks about it in every single fantasy show they can. That said, I still think McLaurin's a fine click because we're tethered to Jayden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury, an offense that we're expecting to take a step forward in year 2. The offensive line got better. They added some help there in Debo. I'm not bullish on Debo, but I am bullish on McLaurin maintaining that role, which is an intermediate to deep threat. And with those type of players, the production comes in waves where it could be a short yardage week in week 2. Week 3 could be the 130-plus yard game and a touchdown or 2. I ride the variance with those types of players. I think McLaurin's a guy that I'm still buying at this time. Maybe we'll get the heat turned up once training camp begins, which I think for most camps is this weekend.
McLaurin or Wilson if you were drafting tonight?
I've been gravitating toward McLaurin purely for the quarterback reason. Okay. But yeah, they're pretty close in ADP. You can also throw Marvin Harrison Jr. in that mix. You can throw Jackson Smith and Jigba in that mix. I've been kind of mixing and matching my selections between those guys, with honestly Garrett Wilson being towards the bottom of that list.
Tyler, what about Odunze? He was the hot name last year, and then things didn't quite go as anticipated for him. And Luther Burden gets added this year by the Bears, and now we're starting to see Odunze start to pick up some heat. We're starting to get reports that he's looking good. We're getting excited. You excited about Odunze in year 2?
I'm not excited about it. I think there's room for growth. There's like year 1, they were kind of like static in how they utilized him. He was using just a lot of downfield stuff, working through multiple offensive coordinators. I expect Ben Johnson to find ways to get him involved and be much more productive with him. Like last year, his catch rate, it was, I forgot I had the stat in our one article. Among all 85 receivers with 50-plus targets, Odunze's catch rate was 84th out of 85.
That's not good.
So that's not good. I imagine Ben Johnson's going to scheme him some better looks, some better touches. I think he's well poised for a year 2 leap. And when we see the injuries to Loveland and to Burden, you kind of just feel more ingrained in that stance where Odunze has the capital, has the offense. If the offensive line can gel quickly, which has 3 new pieces added to it, then I think Odunze can be a possible breakout guy. And he's like going right now around 6'7", and that's like the perfect spot for me in receiver heavy starts to grab a banger of a flex play. I think this guy's got a lot of upside and a lot of ceiling.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Final question. Jourdan Rodrigue, got a report about the second, about the tight end, second round tight end. Jourdan Rodrigue, talking about Terrence Ferguson. I mean, you mentioned Mason Taylor earlier and kind of in passing, and we've seen obviously breakout tight ends at times, including last year with Brock Bowers. Terrence Ferguson, under what scenario are we drafting him? Is there a scenario we're drafting him? Because we know how the Rams operate. They usually have a very narrow tree of passing, but this year they added Devontae Adams, so now it's less to trickle down to that tight end position. What do you think?
Well, I still think it's the narrow tree where we're just doing a 1-for-1 swap for Kupp and Adams. Tyler Higbee coming back from injury last year, pretty much non-effective. His average depth of target was very, very low. It was like 3 yards or something like that. That's not usable for fantasy. That's like a safety valve. Like, let me get rid of it so I don't get sacked kind of play. And I don't think that offers much upside. Ferguson, on the other hand, highly athletic prospect coming out of Oregon. Guy looks like a wide receiver playing tight end. Could arguably add some meat to his bones. He looks a little skinny there, but he's a very, very exciting prospect. The Rams pulled out of round 1, picked up an extra round pick in 2026's draft, taking that round 1 pick from Atlanta. And then they spent their first overall selection in this year's draft on this guy, Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon. I think he's an exciting click. I also think that there's the possibility he doesn't see any usage until week 8 or so moving on, where Higbee begins the season as the starter.
Right.
Maybe they move on due to injury. Maybe they move on due to inefficiency. That makes him a tough click. I think he's a round 20 final round selection type of pick in best ball tournaments, but I will not be taking him in any kind of redraft starts at the leagues.
Tyler, how you doing in the old Scott Fishbowl? We're in the we just entered the 15th round. We're a pick away from the 15th round. Where are you guys at? How's it going?
I think somebody threw the brakes on ours because we haven't done a thing in like a day. We are middle round 15. Okay, so we're right there with you.
Jeff Mans' league is done. Sandro Nello, our producer over at Sirius XM, his league is in the 21st round. So I guess we got fortunate. We got some of the slow bus. I've had almost a timeout every round.
Yeah.
Including one yesterday was 14 hours. Like I said this myself. I hate slow drafts. I'm different opinion. I think this legitimately is my last slow draft I'm ever doing. I just can't. I'm just sitting there. Oh God. And by the way, do you like slow drafts? I know you end up doing them. We all end up doing them, but I'm serious. I don't think I'm going to do them after this year because it's just, if you can't sit down for 2 hours and do a draft, what are we doing?
See, I like doing them, but I also do multiple at the same time. So I'm constantly checking my phone for updates. And right now I've got, I think 4 going on Underdog, 4 going on Drafters, 1 on FFPC, 3 on DraftKings, and then I throw in this one here. So I'm constantly checking my phone every few hours because among all of those, at least one of them is probably time for me to be on the clock.
It's interesting how people are so different. Like to me, I couldn't do that. Like it would drive me bananas, and you're doing 412 best ball drafts this year, so you got to do it. So yeah, to each their own, right? Whatever works for y'all. For me, it doesn't work. So don't invite me to do your league if it's got a slow draft. I'm telling you, I'm not going to say yes. Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Before we let you run here, Tyler, thanks for joining us as you do every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. What's on the whiteboard? What's coming down next week?
Working on my wide receiver versus coverage scheme article. That will be posted next week. We have plenty of content on that where it's diving into the intricacies of how wide receivers do versus different types of coverage scheme, man versus zone, how they do versus cover 1, cover 2, cover 4, which players do we want to target, and also not only how great are they or poor are they against specific coverage looks, but how often are we expecting them to face those types of coverages in 2025, which takes a bit of projection on my behalf, looking at past tendencies and new play callers, new schemes, new personnel. But it's one of my favorite projects to do all off season. That'll be out next Friday. And it also segues me into a weekly analysis too. So if you enjoy that type of stuff, we also have a week by week thing where it can help you in terms of your start sits for the wide receiver position. That'll be available for you guys if you are a Fantasy Guru subscriber.
You can always find Tyler. He's in there in Discord answering questions every day like the rest of us are. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner to get his advice, to see him on the live stream on Tuesday nights, to get his articles, to get his information. You won't be sorry that you did it. Oh, and by the way, if you're doing that best ball thing, Tyler's got you covered with a series of articles to help you out in best ball in 2025. Tyler, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it. I will see you next week on Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time for your next visit.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks for having me, Ray.
You got it. He's Tyler Beaker. I'm Ray Flowers. We'll be back here tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, as we are every day, Monday through Friday, on Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.